Hey guys, welcome back to Von Kettle Kitchen. So tonight I am making a not so cakey pumpkin chocolate chip cookie. I'm not a fan of cakey cookies, so this is just like a regular chocolate chip cookie but with a little twist. So let me show you all the ingredients and get everything started with you. So to get this recipe started, you're going to use a full stick of unsalted butter. Don't mind the background noise, I have my dishwasher going. So I do have it at room temperature already. However, we are going to melt this. You want to make sure you have a microwave safe bowl. So I have the butter in here, so now I am going to go throw it in the microwave. All right, so that took about 40 seconds. I have melted the butter. I'm going to add in 3/4 cup of light brown sugar and 1/4 cup of white. You just want to whisk that until it's nice and combined. And you want the butter to cool down just a little bit. Okay, so that's completely combined. I just want to feel it. All right, that's perfect. So you're going to use 1 large yolk. Just discard the whites, or you can keep them if you want to do like omelets or something. So that is now mixed in. I'm going to mix in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And, oh, there it is. I have a 1/3 cup of pumpkin puree. You don't want the pumpkin pie puree, you just want the regular canned pumpkin. And you want to get a good brand. You don't want anything too watery, because if you get something too watery, it makes the cookie cakey. Let me get this all out. Whisk that in. If you do have semi-watery canned pumpkin, you can just always dab the water out with some paper towels. All right, so now I'm going to add in my spices. I have everything pre-measured. So I have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, I have a teaspoon of cinnamon, I have a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. I did 1/8 teaspoon of ground clove and nutmeg. I also had 1/8 teaspoon of allspice. You can change this to your preference. I am not a huge clove person, so that's why I did 1/8 teaspoon. And either way, it still smells delicious. And I also have a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice in there. All right. That is nice and mixed together. Another thing to avoid when you're making cookies, if you don't like them cakey, you don't want to pack your measuring cups tightly with flour. So I'm going to do a 1/2 cup, just level it out. So I'm going to do 1/2 first, and then 3/4 teaspoons. I'm sorry, I can't talk tonight. Baking soda. Mason jars come in handy for everything. So I'm gonna give that a nice whisk until it's incorporated. Sorry you guys, I don't have anything tall so you guys can see in. So that's all mixed in. I'm gonna do 1 more cup of flour. Just make sure you don't pack it. But if you also don't put in enough flour, your cookie could run. So I'm gonna whisk this in. Woo! Snowing. And if you do it as a packed flour, then you'll have a cakier one. All right, so let me get this out. I could use a KitchenAid. Woo, made a mess. I could use a KitchenAid. I'm just not going to, because this is just simple enough to do by hand. You can do 2/3 cup of whatever chocolate chips you like. You can do dark, this is semi-sweet, you can do milk chocolate. I prefer the semi-sweet. When I picked them up, didn't realize I got minis. So I did a little less than 2/3 cup just because I don't want to have too many chocolate chips. So I'm just going to fold that in with a wooden spoon. You can do that with a spatula as well. All right, so now I'm going to cover this, and you want to let this chill for an hour before we cook it. So now I'm going to wrap this up and place it in the fridge. All right, so I have pulled the dough out of the refrigerator. I have lined my pans with parchment paper, and I have a little scoopy. So I actually spray my scoop though. I just do it over the sink. And I'm just going to put them on the sheet. So I'm just going to scoop away. It's as simple as that. So as you can see, I got 2 dozen cookies. And you don't spray the parchment paper or anything like that because there is a lot of butter in there. So I have the oven preheated at 250 degrees. Going in for about 9 to 12 minutes, but I'm probably going to check them halfway through to switch them around. Right. So I'm going to take the cookies out of the oven. Sorry, I know I'm being loud. All right. So now I'm going to place them on a cooling rack. And the flavors of the pumpkin and the spices definitely intensify, I think, by the next day. That's why everything's nice and cool and ready to eat. But of course, you can never go without having a nice warm cookie. I'm actually going to be batch making cookies because we are celebrating Thanksgiving at our church with my grandfather because it's the only place that we can get him in. My grandfather is a double amputee, and we want to make sure that we have all memories with him as possible. More. If you want these to be like a crispy cookie, you can definitely add in, sorry, I have a runaway. You can definitely add in more liquid to it, just so they spread out a little more. So these are my cookies. I've pulled them all out of the sheet pans, or off the sheet pans I should say. So now they're going to cool.